Hey, welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a long dry spell and hadn't gotten one of these things out in a while, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it now, and we got Mr. Dave Ilberry on as a co-host, guest, or whatever. Oh, Dave.
Hey, Rich, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, doing just fine. Doing just fine. You know what they say: if you don't end up in the jail, hospital, or the morgue, you've had a good weekend.
It's been a good weekend for me then.
Right. Mercy. Well, listen, there's been a lot of news happening in the past week, man. There's been things popping off left and right. I guess one of the most interesting things I've seen going through the news was the Taliban. You know, they so far they've been able to marry, like a 45-year-old man can marry a 6-year-old. And they finally wised up and changed the rules and have increased the age limit to 9.
Holy shit. That was thoughtful of them.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, I
They need
guess,
to stick to the joke.
yeah, exactly. Something was going on over there, and that hit the news, and I thought, man, that's really nice. Went from 6 to 9. So
Wow.
Epstein, the files are on my desk, but there's nothing in them. What do you think?
Yeah, that one's been interesting for sure. Um, so she's saying she misspoke, that she meant, all the files were on her desk, not just the list or anything else. Yet we've been told time after time by everybody that there was a list, a client list, there were the flight logs, there was this, there was that evidence. And I don't know if you saw my post the other day, but it was like every time we turn around and this, they say we've got some evidence on this, we got some evidence on that.
Right.
There's no arrest made. It's just a bunch of conjecture that we're hearing, and nothing ever happens out of it. So as far as this Epstein list, I mean, there's so many theories floating around it, and this isn't like a conspiracy theory of mine or anything, but it could appear like to some that maybe Trump did bury the list, and is going along with it now because he is on the list, and the reason that Biden administration didn't do anything with it was because they knew he was on the list, and since they had control of it for 4 years or more,
Right.
because it goes back 20 years, the investigation does, but they could have scrubbed it for what they wanted out of it, and they're using it to control him because now I'm seeing, hearing that he's changing in his mindset on the mass amnesty thing and a couple other things. So I don't really know, man. It's just been a confusing time.
Right. Well, I guess my take on it would be, A, if the Biden administration had control of it and Trump's name was on there and in the flight logs, I think they would have used it because they threw everything they could at him trying to find something that would stick. Uh, but on the other side of that coin, there could be, my concern, I guess, would be there could be a lot of names on that list that did absolutely nothing illegal or immoral or anything like that. And so if that list was released, they would all be tarnished because nobody would know.
Absolutely.
So
And it doesn't matter if they had proof or I'm sorry, let me cut you off.
yeah,
It wouldn't matter if they had proof that they didn't do anything or not. If their names are attached to it, they're going to be found, held guilty in the public eye.
exactly. So in that respect, I could see Trump possibly reconsidering and going, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Who knows? Come out and tell
Yeah,
us
and
that.
that's an aspect, and that's an aspect I didn't look at it from. So you're absolutely right. That's a very good point. So yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's plausible. That's all I can say. It's plausible. I don't know what's going on with my layout here, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be changing between speakers. Always something, you think you got it all figured out. And
I'm surprised.
yeah, I'm trying.
No, and as I was saying, with if Biden had control of or when Biden had control of the list, it could be. I don't think Trump's on there as far as doing anything,
Right.
immoral with kids or anything. I really don't. Or and of course you got the left is going to say that, well, he tried to sleep with a 16-year-old, he or a 13-year-old, sorry, and he said that if he didn't, if Ivanka wasn't his daughter, that he would date her or stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, but you people voted for Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Who I mean, come on, I voted for Bill Clinton. I was a Democrat back then.
Right.
And then I came to my senses, and but there are so many things that they're hypocritical on, that the left is.
Right. Oh, it's
You,
they're off the deep end, man. I don't see how it'll take years for them to come back into the good graces. At the route they're going right now, I mean, everything they do is just nuts, completely nuts.
yeah,
And
and
I don't get it,
well, then you got the sanctuary city shit. The L.A. you got L.A. County, you got Governor the Newsom out there. You got that fat bastard Pritzker up there that in Illinois. That I mean, that guy is nuts. He is just insane.
right?
And now he's wanting to run for president. That's
Yeah,
the guy. Come on, I mean that if anybody would vote for either Newsom or Pritzker as president, I'm just like, I'm done with the country at that point.
yeah. But by the way, I'm telling you, there's some.
Damn this good shit! Damn this good shit!
Come up with a new audio bit there. Damn this good shit.
And then that, then you got that crazy bitch Hochul out there in New York.
Yeah,
I mean, she's nuttier than a squirrel turd,
yeah, yeah. And then that brings us to Mayor Bass in New York or California.
Yeah.
She's going directly against the Supreme Court. She's still saying she's going to shield people from ICE, and
Okay.
she's saying push back on authority. We're going to shield them. We're a sanctuary city. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it's exciting. Tom Holman working him up.
I love Tom Holman, man. He's awesome, but and the thing is that with the Supreme Court ruling in Trump's favor on this, that opens the door for Holman and his group to go in there and arrest these governors, these mayors, and everything else. I mean,
Right.
the Supreme Court upheld it, so that's basically going to give him a wide open door to go in there, and I want to see every one of their asses dragged out in handcuffs.
Oh, I know, right? I know there's been a lot going on, but I haven't seen no handcuffs come out yet.
Not yet.
John Brennan and Comey, they may get the cuffs quick.
Yeah. I like I said, I would, all these people saying, go ahead and throw them in jail. I want to see how quickly their tune changes when the handcuffs are on and they're in the back of a car.
Yeah. And then, there's one of those mayors that charged in. I did like that video clip I seen of, what's her name? Leaves me. The black lady looks like a raisin.
Oh, Maxine Waters.
Yeah, Waters. Where she got, they denied her entrance into the federal building, turned her around.
Yes.
That was good. Well, I heard, it was the 1 year thing for the Butler shooting incident. And there was a lot of talk on Newsmax today reflecting on that and, footage that came out after the fact and everything. And man, it makes no sense what they did up there. Lack of communication. The head of the Secret Service, I guess it was, had no radio to communicate with local law. And local law was the one that seen him on the roof, but couldn't communicate anything to the Secret Service, Crazy.
And then you got CNN hadn't broadcast one of his rallies, but they were at that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot
You
of
know, just happened to be at that one.
yeah, it's a lot of suspicion there. Yeah, I mean, it's just too much. It's too much. Coincidence would it be? No, I think there was an obvious loophole that was left open. Uh,
Absolutely.
you know,
There were too many things, too many variables that you know could have happened and would normally have happened at any other president's rally or candidate's rally, I should say.
Yeah.
And nothing was done there at that one. You know, there was no protocols followed whatsoever.
no,
You know, people had reported, numerous people had reported they seen this guy climbing up on the roof.
right. There was going through the crowd. You know, people had spotted it, and everybody's pointing the finger over there. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, oh man, that brings us back to the statement that the then head of the Secret Service, that lady, I don't remember her name, but the reason we didn't have men on that roof is because it was sloped. It was a dangerous thing. I've been around pre-engineered metal buildings enough to tell you that's a 1-on-12 slope, same as the handicap ramp.
I was going to say that wasn't even like a 412 pitch or anything.
No,
I mean, it was a very flat roof.
Yeah, it was a one on 12. That's a real common metal, pre-engineered metal building pitch. Is
Yeah.
they do others, but 1-on-12 is pretty standard. And like I said, it's the same slope as a handicap ramp, so that's how dangerous it was. I guess maybe because it didn't have guardrails on it.
Nothing to hook a lanyard onto. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was man. Even his first term, this term, it's all been squirrely. There's been so many things that have happened, and what's funny is, you know, back in the '80s, whenever Trump was saying these same things as a Democrat, they loved him for it.
Yeah.
Praised the man. We want you to run for president. He comes out to run for president, runs as a Republican, and he's hated, he's vilified for everything that he's ever said.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
You got people bringing up the things, you know, that, you know, grab, you know, if you got money, a woman will let you do anything you want to, or including grab her by the, you know, the kitty. But yet they love Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
You know,
and they said some of the same things, made promises to some of the very same element that Trump is making good on, and now they're against it. You go back and look at all the video clips of them saying, you know, we need a border wall. We got to control immigration. It's silly. Yeah. Speaking of my daughter coming, she brought me a new mug.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I guess you can read it. In
Yeah,
gold,
that's awesome.
President, old 47. I said, yeah, that's perfect. Well, we're in hurricane season down here.
Yeah.
Does that affect you up there in Savannah? Okay.
Well, you know, when Helene came through, I got some storm damage, some limbs down, stuff like that. Nothing major. This area here, I'm far. That's one thing I like about it. I'm far enough inland where I don't really get the brunt of it, but I do catch some of the damage, you know, from the just the outer side of it.
Right.
It's,
but I mean, do they call it a hurricane season, same as we do down here? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't know how far up the coast that went where they referred to the hurricane season. Maybe all the way.
I'm only about 25, 30 miles from the coast.
Yeah.
So it can still get me here.
Yeah, we're about, as the crow flies, about 1.5 miles off the bay. And but it's funny, the evacuation zone, we live at the end of a cul-de-sac, and then there's a street behind us that you can't get to without going around, you know.
Right.
Because of the cul-de-sac. But anyway, that street is the edge of the boundary line for evacuation. So we're like maybe 300 feet away from the But, you know, I went on and checked the elevation. You can get elevation readings, you know, at any location, any address or whatever. on this site I went on, and so I put in my address, and it said I was 40. I think it's 47 feet above sea level.
Oh wow.
And you don't really think about it because, like I say, we're about a mile and a half. So if I go on, the road's headed west to the bay, you see a slight grade, but it's nothing immediate. You know what I mean? It's not like a hump.
Yeah.
It's just a slight grade. So when you're down on 41, which is right on the bay, and you head east to come, to turn off to our house, it's slightly uphill all the way. So I didn't realize it was that much, 40 some odd feet. It's
Right. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
yeah.
Well, speaking of weather, what do you think about this whole Texas thing?
Well, it's one of those things that happen. That, of course, the left try to make something political out of it. They're pointing fingers, say that they was understaffed. But I'd seen one of the guys saying, no, we were overstaffed that night. Just slipped through the cracks. And I know the terrain. We used to go over to Buffalo River in Arkansas, in northwestern Arkansas, and we'd camp over there for a couple of days. And then one of those days we would take the canoes, down the river and get hauled back. So we always wanted it to rain so that there was some good water moving, a little bit of white water and stuff, like something to make it fun. Otherwise, it's boring. So anyway, we get over there this one day, and there's one weekend, and the same thing happened there. This rainstorm moved in, and it's mountainous, it's like the Ozarks over there. And so the Buffalo River, it's just like got all this watershed starts up at the headwaters. And so it didn't rain very much where we were at, but just a few miles west, they got a big downpour. And that river where we camp, I'm going to guess it to be maybe 40 feet above the river. And there was a parking lot there. And then you could go down the hill about halfway down, and there was another parking lot. And we sat there and watched that water rise, come all the way up to, we were wondering if it was not going to come up to where we were camped. It covered up that whole lower parking lot. And we seen cows going by. We seen refrigerators floating by. And
that's crazy.
Then we got out and we took a little drive. We come to a bridge, and they try to say the river's closed, but they can't close it legally. They have no stand to close the navigable river. And here come a couple of canoes down through there, and they went under the bridge. And the first guy, he went on down the river, and the second guy rolled it over and got chicken winged up against a tree. I mean, he was pinned to the tree, and the water was boiling up in his face, and everybody was standing up there going, I ain't getting in that. That's a bad deal. Well, he finally racked his way out of there, but we was beginning to wonder if he wasn't going to drown right there. Ain't nobody wanted to jump in there. This thing's raging, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whoa. So, anyway.
I watched a video this morning, a couple of videos this morning on TikTok of the flood, and there was one story of a young lady who was swept away. I believe it was her and her father, if I remember right, or something. Anyway, they were swept away and they got separated. He went 20 miles downstream in the water. He was in the water this whole time.
Right.
Got stuck in a tree about, I think the guy said maybe it might have been 100 yards from his house, like behind his house, because he lived on the river, but he was elevated high enough where he didn't get into it.
Right.
But anyway, she was there for, I forget how many hours he said she was stuck in that tree. 22 years old. It stripped her naked, stripped all the clothes off of her.
Wow.
The poor girl had, she was beat up and battered from being in the water for so long.
Yeah.
Her dad was killed in it. And I can't remember if it was just the two of them, because I believe it was from the campsite that they where they started.
Right.
So anyway, that was a good thing that she was able to survive it.
Sure.
And then there was a video showing some of the damage, and there was a 350, I think it was, that was literally folded around a tree just from the water pressure where it got hung up on the tree, and it folded that truck around that pressure around that truck.
Right.
Uh,
I've seen several of the camper trailer, just the frame, been around the tree like that.
yeah,
You've already tore everything off of the frame and then wrapped it around a tree.
yeah. Now they're in Texas. It's a few miles from it's the I think it's the Frios River, if I remember right, in Texas. Now it's flooding.
Yeah.
It's raining and flooding.
And then they had one out in, was it New Mexico? Had flash floods out there. And
Yes.
they've lost a few lives out there too. And
And in Mexico, actually.
in Mexico, that's what I was going to say. They had it down there too. I think Chicago, didn't they just get a pretty good rainstorm up there? Caused a little bit of flooding up in that area.
I think so.
I think so too. It didn't make the news very much, but I do remember it being mentioned. That's crazy.
Yeah, and of course this brings about the whole conversation of cloud seeding and everything, and which I read an article where the government says, yeah, we do cloud seeding, and they've admitted to doing it.
Right.
Which they say it's to help in a drought situation, or it's this or that, whatever their reasons are. But it's the government. I don't trust them any farther than I can throw a single one of them.
Exactly. I watched a little documentary today. Actually, I can't even come close to recalling what the chemical name is. But anyway, it was the invention back in the 50s of basically Teflon, and there's a chemical that's used in that process that DuPont has been dumping in the riverways and stuff for years and years and years. It's now in all of the water. You can find traces of it in all the water, tap water that you drink, even bottled water. It's in the air. It's in every one of us, and it will not go away. It does. There's nothing to. I think it's like C6, C8, something like that is the short name for it.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that real quick.
Forever chemical. Yeah.
Silver iodide is one of the things that they use
for the seeding, cloud seeding.
Yeah. So silver iodide or dry ice.
Right.
So yeah, it's and they wonder why people are sick all the time. They wonder why people are there's cancer. I mean.
Yeah.
So now apparently the damn air can give you cancer.
Yeah.
So we're screwed from it,
I've always been a firm believer that cancer was caused by swallowing saliva small amounts at a time. I think that'll give you cancer. Everything else does.
Well, at one time it was bacon gives you cancer.
Now it heals you.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stop eating bacon.
Yeah,
you're not scaring me off. Right?
No, well, we've been on the carnivore diet since the first of the year, and and all we're eating is hamburgers, steaks, butter, bacon. She makes she makes an ice cream that's carnivore. It's cream and vanilla and an egg, I think, or something. High calorie, but it's no carbs.
Right.
So
yeah,
she's losing more than me. I think I drink too much. And she's dropped quite a bit, and I'm gonna have to tighten up because I'd like to drop some more too.
Yeah,
I'm heavy enough. I feel it, and as I age, I need to thin out a little bit. Yeah. So I can get up off the floor without an assist.
I can, as long as I roll over on my stomach and then get up on my hands.
Right. So wrap this up here in a little bit, but I'll tell you an interesting story. You may or may not ever come across this problem. When my wife came down here, she had a 2008 Nissan Rogue, and we ran the wheels off that thing. It was all we had. Well, when I took the job up north, they gave me a company vehicle. So the car just sat. She never drove it, and it just sat. So I ended up putting a battery tender on it. so it wouldn't go dead, and would be available if she needed to, go somewhere during the day when I wasn't home. So anyway, the grandkids come down, and this past weekend they asked if they could borrow it and go up the highway ways to Top Golf. And yeah, sure. So they got in it and they took off. And they went up there to Top Golf, and it was getting close to us having dinner cooked here. So Kim called Logan and told him to head back. So he was on the way, and then all of a sudden they called and something wrong with the car. He goes, we come to a stoplight, and he goes, it just bogs down. It won't go. It's just like I said, well, is the engine racing? Like transmission problem? And he is like, no, it's just like it, it doesn't have any gas or something. Just no power to take off. Yeah, I said, well, can you think you can limp home? He goes, yeah. He goes, once we can get rolling and there's nobody in front of us stopping, we can get up to about 45 mile an hour. Well, that was the speed limit. So he probably could have got up faster. But anyway, they get home, and I walk out there, and, they get out of the car and everything, lock it up, and scratching my head. And then I says, well, what the hell? The brake lights are on. And so I opened the car up, and I pumped the pedal a couple of times, and no, it's still on. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I ended up popping the hood and just pulling the negative off the battery so it wouldn't run the battery down,
Right.
So I got in here and I got to researching, and the first thing I Googled was what would make your brake light stay on. Well, turns out there's a couple of little switches in there that whenever you press the brake pedal, they come out actually, and that makes contact for the brake light to come on. And the other one is to disconnect your cruise control.
Yes.
So those two switches are there. Well, those two switches are plunger type switches, and they have a bearing pad under them that is hard plastic. And that bearing pad, I guess, took all the strokes it was going to take, and it shattered, and they fell down in the floorboard, which I didn't even notice them because they looked like just little pieces of rock or something they'd tracked into the car. And so I get under there, and sure enough, they're gone. And then I start looking in the floorboard, find all these pieces. So I ordered it and had it the next day. And I went out there yesterday and I got down there, and Tammy took a broomstick so she could push the brake pedal, but not being in the driver's seat,
Right.
So I could get under there and do my thing. And so I popped those two new things in and put well, I'd already put the cable back on so I could start the car. But anyway, jumped the car, backed out of the driveway, took off, spun around, everything just fine. How did that affect my transmission? It was stuck in high gear. Now, I don't know how that all connects up, but it wouldn't shift down. That's why he couldn't take off.
Right.
And I'm thinking dirty fuel injectors, and turns out those $2 plastic replacements fixed everything. Oh, yeah. And another thing, the key fob would unlock the door, and it's supposed to be keyless, like you can leave it hanging on your belt and reach up and start the car. That wouldn't work until I replaced those two switches. So,
that's weird.
It's,
I actually had to replace the switch in my Nissan Xterra because I had a battery drain on it, and it couldn't figure out where it was. Well, I guess it wasn't letting the brake lights come on at one point, but it got bad enough to where the switch finally did, like you said, the plastic broke around it,
right.
And the switch actually fell out, so it was allowing the brake lights to come on. So I replaced it, and I found it by actually I walked around there after I charged the battery, walked behind it, and the brake lights were on.
Right.
I was like, I go in there and check it, and that's when I found the switch was bad. So
Right.
I replaced that, and it's been fine ever since. But mine's a manual transmission, so I don't I don't know.
Yeah.
how that would affect that on your
Well, it probably wouldn't
on
on
your
a manual, but being automatic,
right.
you know. Somehow it's tied in though, and because when the next day I went out there and I got in it, just our driveway's on a slight grade uphill, so I backed and I
Hmm.
noticed when I backed, it was peppy just like it always was. As soon as I put
Yeah.
it in drive to pull it back in the driveway, it was just, it was like it just didn't have no. So it was stuck in high range, is what it was. It couldn't, didn't have the low gear to pull it up the hill. I got it back up a little bit, where it needed to be. But that's when I said, well, it's got to be just. At that point, I thought that it has to be fuel injectors because it had set so long and the gas may have got jellied up or whatever, And,
Right.
but
Hmm.
then I just kept looking and reading on YouTube. There, they talked about it would it would affect your shifting.
Huh.
So anyway, if you
Well,
ever encounter that, well, it's a cheap fix.
yeah, they're not expensive, but boy, they're a pain in the ass to change.
I know. I had a mirror out there, and the guys was out there. They're showing, on the video, they were laying on their back in the floorboard, reaching up.
Hmm.
Well, that rogue's got a big lip that comes up threshold at the door. And I'm like, I can't lay over that. So I did find out I could get my head down low enough and look up there and see him. So
Let's see, how did I do that? At one point, I don't think it was on this one, but there was actually one point where I was laying. It was in one of the vehicles. I had to replace a brake light switch. I was actually laying with my feet up on the back of the seat, my head down underneath there.
right,
My shoulders won't allow me to do that anymore. So I think this time I slid the seat all the way back,
right,
lifted the tilt steering wheel all the way up, and kind of laid on my side where I could get up in
yeah,
there
that's what I did. I
clean up.
got on my knees outside the car
Yep.
and then leaned in. And I was using the mirror, which is hard because everything's backwards, trying to find the
Right.
hole. And I dropped them a couple of times, and I was getting aggravated. And so finally, I leaned down just a little bit more. And I said, "Oh hell, I can see them right there. They are." And so then, it was easy to reach up there and push them in.
Yeah. The biggest problem is getting light down there where you can see everything.
Well, I had a
It's
little
dark down there.
LED emergency light that I had
Yeah.
laying in the floorboard, so I took care of that. Had a piece of cardboard laying on the sidewalk or on the driveway, so it wouldn't grind my knees up in shorts.
Right. I did the same
That was
thing.
that was the hardest part, was just getting up after doing
I
that.
instead, yeah, no kidding. Instead of a mirror, I was actually using my phone in selfie mode, where I could
Right,
look down at my phone and I was able to do it.
right,
But it helps for
yeah,
sure. But yeah, it's an easy fix, but a pain in the ass to
yeah,
do.
yeah. And so, because she was talking about, there's another issue when you get in there and you push in on the starter ignition key holder thing, and it'll
Hmm.
make a little click sound, and then you turn it, and it should start, but it doesn't always start. You hear something else click, but the starter doesn't engage. I don't think it's a bad starter. It's got to be some kind of a relay in between there, and possibly it's corroded from non-use and doesn't
Right.
always make contact.
Either that, or it could be just the key switch itself. It's not the spring in there is not allowing it.
Yeah, something.
It's allowing it to go past the start point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if you twist it 2 or 3 times, it'll eventually start.
yeah.
Maybe the second time, maybe the fifth time, but it will start.
Yeah.
Not a slow start, draggy or anything like that. I mean, sounds fine once it kicks in. So, I don't know.
I think it was a Dodge truck that I had that done something similar to that. I had to replace the key switch in.
You're right. You very well could be. But anyway, well, let's wrap this thing up, and I'll try to one more time to get JD on here. He feels about everything about like we do, and would make some good
Yeah.
commentary and everything, But he's got a job, I guess, where he gets multi-shifted. He's like a project manager, and so
Oh yeah.
different jobs or different hours. Like he's got it, so he got called today and had to go out on the job this afternoon. So had to beg off. All right
I'd
then.
like to get some opposing views on here,
Can't nobody wants to come on.
cowards.
I'm telling you. They like to sit in their wherever they sit with their laptop or whatever, and they're keyboard warriors. But boy, they sure don't want to go live. Oh well, we'll keep trying.
I'll see if I can find somebody.
There you go. All right, Dave. As always, thank you for coming on, and we will see you next time right here.
Absolutely.
If you like this,
Absolutely.
if you like to listen to this junk that we spout off out here on this thing, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss, and the little ding dong notification bell. And we will see you soon.